Hey there, Saints. Pastor Dave here, and welcome back to another weekly devotional for all the Saints. We're talking about an essential vice today. This is another reading from C.S. Lewis's collected works from Mere Christianity. I'm just going to start with the reading. There is one vice of which no man in the world is free, which everyone in the world loathes when he sees it in someone else, and of which hardly any people except Christians ever imagine that they are guilty themselves. I've heard people admit that they are bad-tempered, or they can't keep their heads about girls or drink, or even that they're cowards. I do not think I've ever heard anyone who was not a Christian accuse himself of this vice. And at the same time, I've also very seldom met anyone who was not a Christian who showed the slightest mercy to it in others. There is no fault which makes a man more unpopular, and no fault which we are more unconscious of in ourselves. And the more we have it ourselves, the more we dislike it in others. The vice I'm talking of is pride, or self-conceit, and the virtue opposite to it in Christian morals is called humility. So, Saints, are you a proud person? You think of yourself as prideful? Most likely, no. Almost nobody does, as C.S. Lewis points out. We don't tend to think of ourselves as having too much pride. In a lot of cases, we might worry we have too little, that we don't have self-confidence and we don't stand up for ourselves, but very, very seldom does anybody look at themselves in the mirror and say, boy, I am arrogant. Man, I was way too focused on myself in that moment, last night, last week, whatever. We just don't see that, and it's kind of part of the nature of what pride is. That as we get focused in on ourselves, the ancient Christians in Latin called it incurvatus se. That as we get focused in on ourselves, the soul focuses on itself. It starts to lose perspective on what an actual healthy self-assessment would be. That we get this tunnel vision thing going on, and we can't see ourselves as we really are or as God wants us to be. That's how pride works on us. So the more we worry about ourselves, the more concerned we are with ourselves, with whether or not we're receiving the right amount of recognition, whether or not people are giving us the respect we deserve, whether or not we're getting what we've earned. The more we worry about ourselves, the less able we are to see when we've gone too far. And that's a really tricky thing. So as Lewis points out, when we start looking around at other people, we can see their pride very easily. We can tell very quickly, that guy over there is so arrogant. He's so full of himself. That girl over there is always talking about her own successes and her own victories, and it's just I don't want to hear it. We can see in others when they get focused in on themselves because of our own pride. Because when they start doing that, they're not paying enough attention to us. They're not giving us the accolades that we expect or desire. They're not building us up the same way that we are. And so whenever we start seeing somebody else who seems very prideful to us, it's worth stopping to think about, why does that bother me? Why is that so upsetting to me? And maybe what's happening is that we're looking at a mirror. We're seeing in them something that we don't like, that we're guilty of too. And it's hard for us to admit that we're guilty as well. But when we see it there, maybe it helps us recognize what's going on in here. Saints, I hope that you will be able to put that into practice this week. I hope that'll be something useful for you as you look around and perhaps get upset with somebody else's pride or arrogance. I hope that will give you an opportunity to not only give them a little bit more grace, but also reflect on yourself, on the state of your own heart, and whether or not there's pride in you that you might be able to get better control of. Hope you're doing well this week, Saints. I hope you're healthy, and I'm praying for you. I hope you're praying for me. Take care. I'll see you again soon.